Okay, so I've got a piece of paper here. It's 10.5 by 4 inches, and these pages are going to be part of our signature. So what you want to do is be really patient and make sure those edges and your corners line up perfectly. And I like to use a squeegee. If you don't have a squeegee, you could use like your student ID or a credit card or a ruler. And you want to fold every individual page to the signature separately, just like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is stack 5 pages inside of each other, and that's going to create one signature. We're going to fold it in half and make sure all the edges line up real nice, and then we're going to mark 3 dots in the center equally distant. Okay, once I've done folding all my papers and putting them into signatures, I should have 4 signatures, and they each contain 5 pages, so they're all stacked in here now. You made marks before, and you need to have 3 marks, and what you're going to do is take a tack and you're going to punch a hole through each mark, and I've already done this, and you can see it goes all the way through, and you want to make sure it lines up with the seam. Once I have all my 3 holes made for the spines of each signature, I'm going to put this down, and what I want to do is get my thread ready. So I'm kind of guesstimating how much thread, and I'm going to be sewing it in between all 3 holes of each signature. So I kind of give myself about 2 inches or 3 beyond the signature, and I've got 4. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4 because I have my 4 signatures. Then I'm going to unspool like 1 more. Just, it's much better to have too much thread than not enough. And then I'm going to cut that. Now what I'm going to do is take a piece of beeswax, and I'm going to move my signatures out of the way. And this just kind of strengthens my thread, and so I hold it between my thumb and I just pull that beeswax, and it's just kind of coating the thread. And I don't want to get that knotted up, so I'm going to separate that. And I can pull this through a couple times to get that nice and waxed. And then it also makes the edges kind of tight so that I can thread the needle easier, and I hope you can see this on the camera. I'm going to thread the needle, and I want to bring that thread down, I don't know, maybe 6 inches or so here. And then I've got this tail. I just don't want too much thread dealing with it at the end, and then it kind of causes a problem. So I just want to make a knot at the bottom. Sometimes I'll double knot it, whatever. I just want a bit of a knot to help me as I'm sewing, that I don't lose the thread through the hole. And I'll show you what I mean as I sew. Okay, now you've got your prepped and your needle, and so I'm going to straighten this out so that I don't get any knots. And I'm just going to work one signature at a time. And what I want to do first is I want to go in through the outside edge, and I'm going to take that middle hole, and I want to hold it pretty firm with my fingers, but I want to clear my fingers of the hole so I don't get poked. It only takes once to realize it kind of sucks. So I want to do the hole, and I want the tail to hang out. I put a knot there, but I kind of like that to sit loose a little bit. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the inside of the page, and I'm going to go back out through the top hole. And you kind of need this to stay firm, so I like to hold it so that the paper's not loosey-goosey as I'm sewing my signatures. So now I'm on the back side, I'm on the top hole, and on the inside I'm holding this with my finger so that I don't lose what I just sewed. And I don't want to reef on it, because then I could pull that knot all the way through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm at the top hole. Now I'm going to go back in to the inside page, so I'm on the back outside. I'm going to go back through the bottom hole, so I'm inside. And I want you to see what that looks like here. And now what I'm going to do is go back through that middle hole, and I'm going to come back out. And then I'm done. And then really what I'm going to do is just repeat this over and over. So I'm going to fold this signature since I'm completely done with it and it's sewn. And then I'm going to take my next signature and I'm going to hold it next to it. it's easy if I hold my fingers to separate the two, okay? And what I'm going to do is just repeat, repeat, repeat. So remember how we started with the middle hole? We're going to go inside the top hole, and I'm holding this firm. This can be kind of tricky, however you want to do it. See how I'm holding my hands? Okay, I'm at the top hole, and I'm making sure my holes are lined up. Then I'm going to come back through. I'm on the outside. I'm going to come through the bottom hole, go all the way through, and I'm not reefing on it because I don't want to tear any paper, right? Now, I'm going to go out through that middle hole, okay? So here I am again. I've left and I'm in the middle hole. Now, these two are connected through the middle by one little string. And so what I like to do is reinforce this before I start my third signature, and I just kind of go under it. And I can do that, I don't know, just a couple times. It's not 100% necessary, but I kind of like to just do that so that I'm nice and tight. Okay, now what I would do here, sorry, I want to make sure I'm good with my string, is I want to add a third signature. So my third signature I'm going to put neighboring to my second signature, and now I completely ignore the first signature because I don't need that anymore. Okay, again, I'm holding it with my hands like this. In fact, I'm going to fix my camera so that you can see my hands maybe a little bit better farther away. Okay, and I'm going to hold my thumb here just to get this first signature out of the way so it doesn't swing back and forth. Okay, so I am now from number 2 to number 3. I'm outside. I need to add this third signature. So I'm going to start with the middle hole, just repeating again. From the outside middle hole. Okay, I want to make that nice and tight. Now I'm on the inside hole. Okay, and I want to, sorry, let me get this right. I want to leave on the top hole. I want to get back outside. So now I'm on the third signature, coming back out on the top hole, and then I go down to my bottom. That bottom hole on the signature, bringing it back in. I want you to see what it looks like. And now I'm going to exit through the middle hole. Again. And then just repeat for how many signatures you want to add. Okay, now what we're going to do is glue our edge of our signatures together. So we're going to bind them. And I just want to take any extra strings and trim them down so that we're not fighting them and they're hanging clear off the edge. If I can do this with one hand, it's a little tricky. Okay, so once I've done that, I want to get, make sure I have 2 small clips, and I want to make sure that my edges are lined up. If they're not, then when you glue it together, it looks really bad and they're all wonky, sticking out uneven. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to clip just the very edge really tight, and I want this to come off just a little bit, and you'll see why in just a second. In fact, there we go. And this just keeps it nice and tight. So what I'm going to do here is I want to get my plate that I've already put some glue on. I've got a foam brush. This foam brush is bigger than I need, but I'm at home and I didn't have anything smaller. So what I'm trying to do is just get the glue to go inside the signatures just slightly. I don't want it pulling down so I can't open the pages. And then once I have enough glue across all of them, then what I'm going to do is add a section of cheesecloth, and I will show you that in just a second. Okay, that looks pretty good if you can see the glue. Okay, the cheesecloth, I would say I have about 1.5 inches width on this cheesecloth. Let's see if you can see that better over there. And I want to center it on my binding. And I'm just going to take a little bit more glue. There's enough glue it's going to seep through from below, but I just want to put a little bit more on top. Make sure that really gets stuck down on there. And then just barely on the edges, barely a little bit of glue. See how I don't have a ton? I'm just gonna, not even like 1 centimeter down on this, because I want this cheesecloth to stick. And this cheesecloth, once this is all dried, helps us attach our binding right onto our book cover once we're done with it. Okay, so I'm going to put a third clip right in the middle. Make sure that's nice and tight. This should be fine, but sometimes people like to take the clip off once we've started and done the middle one, and they add a little bit more glue on the edge, and then when they clip it back on, it should squish all the glue together. And I don't mind doing that just to be extra cautious that this bad boy sticks together really nice. And I don't mind if glue gets on my bindings or my little clips, because I can always rip, or I can wash that off later. So this is going to sit for about a day to set up, and this is the point where I would pause, work on my book cover design, get that all ready, and then I'm ready to go with my signature.